President Trump is spending Easter weekend at Mar-a-Lago, where he's been lashing out at the Mueller report. The president's taken to Twitter, criticizing special counsel Robert Mueller, those who cooperated with the investigation, and the media. The president even called some of the findings BS. CBS News White House correspondent Weijia Jiang is traveling with the president in Florida.
Before hitting the golf course at his Florida resort, President Trump took another swing at what he called the crazy Mueller report. He said some of the statements made about him are total BS and only given to make the other person look good or me to look bad. Special counsel Robert Mueller found insufficient evidence of a conspiracy with Russians in the 2016 presidential election, but he did not make a ruling on obstruction. Mueller wrote, while this report does not conclude that the president committed a crime, it also does not exonerate him. Mueller investigated 10 episodes for obstruction and said the evidence does point to a range of other possible personal motives animating the president's conduct.
It ultimately comes down to why those acts were committed. Was this a case of corrupt intent, or was this just the type of visceral reactions that we've seen from President Trump in various areas?
Mueller considered President Trump's firing of former FBI Director James Comey, telling White House counsel Don McGahn to fire Mueller. McGahn refused, and trying to get former Attorney General Jeff Sessions to reverse his decision to recuse himself from leading the investigation.
Ultimately, this report is a 400-page tale of self-inflicted wounds. I mean, it's like watching NASCAR for the crashes. Time and time again, the president commits acts that make it seem like he was guilty.
Mueller hinted he was leaving it up to lawmakers to piece together the evidence, writing, Congress can validly make obstruction of justice statutes applicable to corruptly motivated official acts of the president. Attorney General William Barr offered a contradicting interpretation.
Special counsel Mueller did not indicate that his purpose was to leave the decision to Congress.
And determined there was no obstruction.
And Weijia Jiang joins me now from West Palm Beach, Florida. Weijia, good to see you. I want to start here. Weijia, the president's mood seems to have soured this morning. He even tweeted, as you know, that some of the statements in the report are BS. Is the White House now in a defensive stance, do you think?
Well, the White House isn't, because their message remains the same, that they believe they have claimed victory, that the president is exonerated. And I think he would overall feel that same way, too. And he would tell us that if he actually took some questions, which he has not yet, from here in Mar-a-Lago. However, we know that the president is very defensive. In fact, that's probably why we have Volume 2 of this report in the first place. You know, you can argue that there would have been only one volume had it not been for the president being on the defensive, because he felt like he was attacked. He wanted to really send the message that there was no collusion and he was innocent. So this is how the president tends to show his true feelings. He writes them out on Twitter, and sometimes it takes a moment. You know, I think in the beginning he was on a high. He was very happy because, you know, there were lots of reports and he was watching television, and they were saying that in the end, the conclusions here are that he was right in claiming that there was no collusion. And of course, he maintains that there was no obstruction too. But then as the day progresses, as hours and hours go on, you know, he realizes that his words are all over the place, and they're not exactly flattering for him, because they really show and capture his reaction when he found out about this investigation. And so I think that, you know, when that simmers and when he wakes up in the morning and realizes that it's still boiling over because we're waiting to hear his reaction from this, he's going to defend himself. So I think that he certainly is, but again, we won't know until he answers for himself.
Right. Seems like he's digesting all of this.
That tone.
Digesting all of this information really in real time. There are also now calls for White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders to resign after it was revealed she lied to the press. Has that incident destroyed her credibility, and any chance of these White House press briefings ever coming back?
Well, look, this isn't the first time that her credibility has been in question. This is not the first time that she has been accused of lying from the podium. This is different, though, because it is in this official document. The words are recorded and it's from the special counsel. And the thing is that she insists that context matters, and she says it was a slip of the tongue, and it was just one word that she said incorrectly. She says the general idea that there were FBI agents and employees who were dissatisfied with the work and leadership of former FBI Director James Comey is true. And so she says that's not a lie. And, if there were a briefing, I anticipate that she would say exactly what we heard all morning when she made the rounds, including on CBS this morning, saying that, she was actually telling the truth, that just like anyone else, she's not a scripted robot, and that's why she missaid one word. So even though the pressure is on, the heat is on, again, we've been here before, and I don't think that will drive whether there will be press briefings or not. I think that is a decision from the president, who has said he doesn't believe there's a need for one since he himself is so transparent.
And as you know, House Judiciary Chairman Jerry Nadler has subpoenaed the entire Mueller report and the underlying evidence. Is it possible for the president to exert executive privilege over any of this material?
Well, the conversation could be had, but President Trump has already taken pride in the fact, as we saw yesterday, that he did not exercise that privilege. And he says it's because he wants people to have all the information because he has nothing to hide. And I do think it was a good strategy for him not to do that when it came to this public report that we all got a chance to see, because, he could make the case that even though there were details in there about him that did not present him in the best light, he didn't care because he wants to be transparent. So if you look at the optics of what it would look like if he then did exercise that privilege, it wouldn't be good, because here they're asking for even more information. So in order, if they turn that around and withheld more, it could just drum up even more questions that they don't want to have to face. But you never know. Those conversations could be had, and we'll have to wait to see how this plays out on Capitol Hill.
All right, Weijia Jiang on the road with the president. Weijia, thank you.
Thank you.